This is another banger. White folks are finding out the hard way. White folks are finding out the hard way. If you watch this particular video clip by clip, you will understand the typical reason why I said white folks, specifically, I will vote. Oh, vote Donald Trump. They are literally finding out the hard way. And this one actually came as a shock to them. Because let's rewind back that the government shutdown has literally exceeded 2 weeks plus a day now or two. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comment section. And these people are finding out some shocking realities. When I went to this lady's comment section, they were like, no way. But there is no way, true. Anyways, to my black people, I know that you guys are already survivors and you guys will continue to survive and thrive. But to those ones that depend on welfare, food stamps, EBT cards, DEI, sorry, let's watch this video and drop me your honest comments or your honest opinion in the comment section. Credit belongs to the original creators of today's episode. If you have not subscribed before, subscribe, like, comment, and share. My name is Sonia. Let's dive right into it, and I'll be back with commentaries.
Now, the Trump administration is warning everyone that November, you might just not be getting any food assistance, no SNAP or anything like that. You get what I'm saying? They're saying that there will be insufficient funds to pay November SNAP benefits for approximately 42 million Americans. Okay, y'all? This is due to the government shutdown still extending, okay, y'all? And this is in compliance with the One Big Beautiful bill that Trump had dropped this year. And basically, the bill overhauls the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program, which is a SNAP program, which provides food assistance for over more than, like I said, 42 million Americans. And the changes are expected to squeeze some people out of the program, as well as federal spending on the program is cut by over estimated 186 billion over the next decade. So some people have to be aware of these changes and be aware of what's happening right now currently with this government shutdown, because you just might not be able to feed your family due to your lack of knowledge on what's going on. Okay, y'all? Now, the new work requirements have changed, and they're stating that able-bodied adults without dependents need to prove they're working at least 80 hours a month or in school to be approved for SNAP. Without proof, they can only have at least 3 to 4 months of food assistance. Okay, you guys? And before that, the age was 18 to 54, but now the age is between 18 to 64 on whether or not, 65, on whether or not you are an able-bodied adult. So, you know, the age requirements for retirement, everything like that, it has changed, and they're becoming more strict on things, and y'all know what the fuck is happening, okay, y'all? So parents with kids under the age of 14 will be exempt from this, and the usual age was 18 and under, but now it's 14 and under, okay, y'all? So that's, and what's crazy is, y'all, over 94 million pounds of food has not reached the food banks this year across the country, y'all. After Trump had cut $500 million in deliveries from the emergency food assistance program, y'all, the Department of Agriculture has basically recorded the show of 4,304 canceled food deliveries between May and September. And now we're in October. So the one thing that everyone has to understand is this: if you're getting food assistance, you have to cut out things right now. Cut out all the things you not fucking need. You don't need all the pops, the juices, the sodas. You do not need all of the processed food, the artificial sweeteners. You don't need none of that bullshit. Get what you need. And if anything, start doing things the way that our grandparents did things. Start making homemade bread, homemade butter. Make your own sugar, make your own syrup, make your own milks. We have to get back and go towards the way of doing things before we started depending on other corporations to feed us, right? In just 2 or 3 steps, you can make some homemade almond milk, homemade oat milk, homemade walnut milk. You can make your own bread. You get what I'm saying? Go and buy these ingredients to feed your family, guys. You don't need so much food every fucking day, all day. The sickness in America is so fucking high, y'all, already, to the point where we all should stop consuming so much things as it is. If we know they're making bioengineered meat, bioengineered this, you get what I'm saying, process this, process that, why are we willing to go and spend the little funds they are giving us for food assistance? Because I don't approve. They don't approve me for food stamps. They don't approve me for a link card. You get what I'm saying? And I work. I go to school. You feel me? But I don't have any kids. Right? So they'll consider me able-bodied. Even though I'm paying over $1,300 in rent, I'm paying for a car note, I'm paying for car insurance. You get what I'm saying? I'm paying for groceries, my well-being. You feel me? So it's like, they don't give a fuck for real. They want you to make a minimum of whatever they want you to make to even get approved. They want you to make under $1,200 a month. Where I'm from. And I'm in Illinois. You get what I'm saying? In order to get approved for a link. And if they do give you something, they'll give you like $20. $20. You get what I'm saying? So I'm like, you have to minimize the things you feel like you need. The things you feel like you want. You get what I'm saying? And start adding in better habits. And it's honestly going to be a beautiful thing for you to learn how to create your own home recipes. Start buying those spices your grandmothers and great-grandmothers and uncles and aunties will use to create their own remedies. You get what I'm saying? But we have to not let them win and not allow the fear they want to put on us to be the reason, because all of this Democratic being the reason because of the shutdown bullshit, when y'all know the reason is because of y'all. You get what I'm saying? Y'all are the majority of the fucking house. You get what I'm saying? And y'all out here giving out billions and millions of fucking funds to other nations and funding their people, education, their healthcare, their food, whatever, and making us sit here and think that we're fucking stupid the whole time. We see what's going on. I know what's going on. You get what I'm saying? So fuck that Thanksgiving shit, okay, y'all? Don't be sitting here waging into these weird ass, weak ass holidays. Fuck Halloween and fuck Christmas. Don't celebrate it. Keep your money. Minimize all of this bullshit until you can figure out a plan for you and your fucking family. Literally. Like, it's so much easier to just create your own lane for you and your life and your family. Leave all of these holidays alone. Leave all of these weird ass habits you have alone. You get what I'm saying? Because all of the assistance that they used to give, the Section 8, you get what I'm saying? Even though many of us can't get Section 8 still because the fucking people have been on Section 8 for all these years and won't get off of it. You get what I'm saying? The link, healthcare, Medicare, Obamacare, a whole bunch of things that we thought was assisting everyone is not assisting anyone today. So change it up and be aware.
14 days into a government shutdown. Red House, Red Senate, Red White House. 14 days into a government shutdown. Okay. And the only reason why we're even dealing with a government shutdown is because the Republican Party wants to make it very clear to everybody, all the American citizens, that shit does not move unless they get their way. Okay. So the fact that 22 million Americans, their health insurance subsidies are about to skyrocket when everything expires, because that's what the Democrats are actually fighting for. The Republican Party wants you all to know they don't give a fuck. Just paraphrasing. And to make matters even fucking worse, our government is under foreign occupation by a nation that is blackmailing all of our fucking politicians. Trump just laid off some more federal workers, and he's letting everybody know, expect more, specifically to the Democrats, because remember, they're trying to do that whole place blame, even though everything is red. Oh, and it gets worse. The Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, actually warned everybody on Monday that the government shutdown has actually started to affect the United States economy. And the absolute cherry on the fucking top, D'Angelo, Grammy Award-winning D'Angelo, R&B soul star D'Angelo has passed away today at the age of 51 due to pancreatic cancer. Yes, this is how you found out. I'm going to read the statement that came from the family. The shining star in our family has dimmed his light for us in this life. After a prolonged and courageous battle with cancer, we are heartbroken to announce that Michael D'Angelo Archer, known to his fans around the world as D'Angelo, has been called home, departing this life today. We are saddened that he can only leave dear memories with his family, but we are eternally grateful for his legacy of extraordinarily moving music he leaves behind. We ask that you respect our privacy during this difficult time, but we invite you all to join us in a mourning of his passing while also celebrating the gift of song that he has left for this world. Now, him and Angie are probably making some great music together at Heaven's Gate. Rest in peace, D'Angelo. Good morning. morning, everybody. Today is October 15th, signaling the 15th day of this government shutdown. We are on day 15 of the United States federal government shutdown. Now, much has not changed since the update that I left you with yesterday. You understand the airlines are still taking a hit. Air traffic control staffing is low, so please expect delays. Please expect longer TSA lines. In addition to that, this administration has already begun the process of the mass firing of federal workers. And this administration has also made it very clear to the American people, please expect more, with the specific targeting of those who are of the Democratic Party. Is that illegal? Yes. Does this administration care about doing anything by the books? No. Has this administration had the Supreme Courts in their back pocket? Yes. So you can kind of see where I'm going with this, right? All right. And with everything that's going on, my heart actually goes out to the federal workers. My heart actually goes out to the federal workers. Those who did not vote for this, yet they're affected by this. You understand? I've had some federal workers take to my comment sections and some of my previous updates, explaining to us, giving us an inside look as to what the experience is like as a federal worker. Now, some people were expected to get paid on October 10th. Others were expected to get paid today. And from what I've heard or what I've read, federal workers are actually missing upwards to 40% of their paycheck. There are actually federal workers who are not getting paid their full check. They're not getting paid for their full labor. You understand? In addition to this administration actually trying to go out of its way to figure out a way to legally not pay those who are on furlough their back pay, which would also make sense some of the workers who were supposed to be put on furlough all of a sudden got laid off, right? And what pisses me off more about this is the fact that our administration, our government is continuously telling everybody that they don't have the funds, they don't have the money to be able to pay our American workers for their hard-earned work. Yet, the president of the United States was able to strike up some new deal with Argentina where they'll be sending them $20 billion. $20 billion, but we don't have the money to pay our American workers. I'm so tired of America not taking care of America first. What happened to America first? To better explain this bailout, I'll be reading an article that you can find on the newrepublic.com. The title of the article is Trump Fumbles When Asked How Argentina Bailout is America First. Even the president can't spell out how his Argentinian bailout package will benefit the United States. The White House is moving forward with its multi-billion-dollar lifeline to Argentina, which will give $20 billion and U.S. taxpaying dollars to a nation on the verge of economic collapse. I thought our economy was on collapse, especially with this shutdown. Oh, okay, right? However, Donald Trump can't seem to explain why Americans are the one responsible for making Argentina great again. My sentiments exactly. Now, this is a quote from Donald Trump, right? We don't have to do it. We don't have to do it. It's not going to make a big difference for our country, he continued, but it will for South America. Now, I'm trying to understand how $20 billion wouldn't make a big difference for American economy. Right now, according to the government, we can't even pay our federal workers. But $20 billion of our U.S. taxpaying dollars, would it make a difference to this country? I thought we were like how many $1 trillion in debt? But $20 billion, would it make a big difference to our country? I just don't understand. What happened to America being first? And do you want to know the irony of it all? In the same fucking article where they just explained to us that the United States president will be sending $20 billion to another country to bail them out, it explains how the United States is going to be needing a bailout of their own very fucking soon. Yeah, very fucking soon. Y'all forgot what's going on with our farmers? Y'all forgot what's going on with the agriculture? Let me put you on, right? So you understand we used to have a decent relationship between America and China when it came to trading, right? But because of these Trump tariffs, China is not fucking with us anymore, right? They're not dealing with all of these extra fees. So the same country, right, that the United States has now sent $20 billion to has actually replaced the United States as China's #1 soybean supplier. So Argentina is now China's #1 soybean supplier and is receiving $20 billion in aid from the United States via our tax-paying dollars. So Argentina is not only getting $20 billion from us, right, as one big lump sum, they also got our business now. They got our business with China. And you can thank Trump for that. You can thank Trump for that. Now, I want to end this video with actually asking those who are actual federal workers. I need you guys to let us know what your testimonies are. We need to hear from you guys. Now, I know some of you may not feel comfortable actually posting a video explaining your experiences, but if you somehow are able to see this video, it comes across your For You page, please get in the comments and let us know what's going on. We need to know what's going on. Maybe I can do a video later where I just get a whole bunch of different comments and I read them out loud, because we need to get the personal experiences out there. We need everybody to actually hear what's going on, okay? So please, 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 please get in that comment section, okay? Thank you.
Today marks 2 weeks since this Republican shutdown of the government. 2 weeks. 2 weeks where real people and real lives have been disrupted. Our greatest wealth as a nation is the health of our people. This Republican manufactured government shutdown is wholesale, widespread harm targeted at our most vulnerable neighbors, especially women and children. Babies who will go without, elders who will struggle needlessly. 40% of births in America are Medicaid births, and Republicans stand ready to dismantle Medicaid as we know it. WIC is a lifeline that helps new parents keep their babies fed. Republicans' government shutdown will run down critical funding for that program in a matter of weeks. These are not just numbers. These are real people. Real people in my district, the Massachusetts 7th, and across our country. This is a grandmother in Dorchester who is already skipping meals to pay for prescriptions. This is a young mom in Chelsea who told me she doesn't know how she'll afford her child's asthma inhaler if premiums go up. This is a federal employee in Somerville, furloughed, left without pay, yet eager to get back to their unfinished work, desperate to do so. We stand here today to continue sounding the alarm about the hurt and harm our constituents and their families are feeling across the country. Meanwhile, Speaker Johnson is ignoring his constituents who are begging him for help while he falls in line behind the occupant of the White House's reign of terror and retribution. From his cruel attacks on healthcare or his ongoing mass layoffs, Trump is using the shutdown that he created as an excuse to keep attacking our dedicated federal workforce. The cruelty is truly the point. To our shared constituents, we stand here today and every day to protect your lives and livelihoods. We demand Republicans reopen the government and address the healthcare crisis they created. And we'll continue fighting to affirm your right not only to survive, but to thrive. Our fight isn't over, and we won't give up on you.
Who work for America, who stand behind me, who stand in Washington, Maryland, Virginia, and every state in our nation. The pain will be because they have been traumatized. Vote. The next article says some GOP lawmakers want to get back to work. From wherever they are. We're here. We want to get the government back to work for the American people. The next article is hundreds of CDC layoffs reversed, but biodefense protections, preparedness staff are still hit.
Danger! Danger! Danger!
Ladies and gentlemen, every authoritarian leader has had his grim reaper. Russell Vogt is Donald Trump's grim reaper. Trump even posted a bizarre video describing Vogt in those terms. That's who he wanted, a grim reaper. Grim is defined in the dictionary as sinister, savage, and ferocious. A trauma causer. Reaper is defined that which is used to cut down. Vogt swings his scythe through the federal government as thoughtlessly and dangerously as Elon Musk and the Doge children did with their chainsaws. The effect, sadly, has been the same. Great damage to the government, the American people, and the morale, psychological well-being, and efficiency of the patriotic American workers we call federal workers who serve them. I want to close because we were told there was a 1-minute limitation on speaking.
No, keep going.
The U.S. Equal Employment Opportunity Commission defines hostile workplace as one that, quote, involves unwelcome conduct that creates an intimidating, hostile, or abusive work environment. The Congress has said that is illegal. Now Russ Vogt once promised to traumatize our federal workers, saying, and you've already heard this quote, but it demands repetition. When they wake up in the morning, we want them not to come to work because they are increasingly viewed as the villains. Well, these courageous people kept showing up because they love their country. They love their state, their community, and their families. And so they kept coming. Day after day, trauma after trauma, attack after attack. And they came. And America was served. And so Vogt and Trump decided, aha, we'll do what we've done before. We did it in 1995 over education and other expenditures, and Gingrich shut down the government. Just a year into his term as Speaker of the House. And then in 2013, they didn't like health care then either. They shut down the government so that Americans would not have the health care they need and want. And so today, they've shut down the government. Why? Because they want to stop Americans getting health care, which will happen on December 31st if we do not act. That is why we're standing here. That is why this is so important. For the American workers, our federal employees, yes. But for the American people, absolutely. Our federal workers are not the villains. The man, the reaper, putting them in trauma, he's the villain. They're the villain. Now, you may not get this analogy, but I want you to listen closely. But as the Blue Oyster Cult band once sang, we don't fear the Reaper. We don't fear the Reaper. We don't fear the Reaper. We are going to keep fighting for Americans' health care and for our federal workers. We will make sure Russell Vogt reaps what he has sown with these illegal actions.
The USDA is now warning that because of the government shutdowns, there may not be food stamps for November. If the government shutdown continues, this will definitely depend on state. There may not be funds deposited into people's accounts for November. And I just want to remind everybody that the government is shut down because Republicans refuse to, what is it? Oh, yeah. Give healthcare to millions of Americans while fully funding free healthcare for everyone in Israel. Also, they just sent $60 billion to Venezuela. But you can't have food and healthcare. No, you're American. Die. Your government fucking hates you. Just go die in a hole. Republicans are literally willing to starve Americans in order to funnel more money to corporations and the military-industrial complex in other fucking countries. You know the government's whole job is just to take care of its fucking citizens, right?
Because we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we were opposed to. So we're being able, and they're never going to come back in many cases. So we're being able to do things that we were unable to do before. So we're closing up programs that are Democrat programs that we wanted to close up or that we never wanted to happen, and now we're closing them up. And we're not going to let them come back. The Democrats are getting killed, and we're going to have a list of them on Friday.
Let's see what Democrat programs he's talking about, because I don't need a list from him. You have to do is look at what he's cutting right now that the government has been shut down. And the first thing on that list is within the Department of Education, he has cut all special education jobs. So these are the people who are tasked with enforcing that 504 plans and IEPs are being enforced and that the school districts are doing what they're supposed to be doing. So if you have a child who needs to be on one of these plans or is in one of these programs, that they are getting a quality education. Program cut. I think there's one person left in that program. He also cut the HUD program that specifically deals with making sure that home buying programs and renters are following the laws when it comes to making sure that buildings are following the laws regarding disability. So making sure that it's a safe environment, that someone with a disability can access the building, that they have the ability to get into their the place that they're supposed to be living, to make sure that there's no mold or other things that could be toxic to them. That's cut. And the other thing that I think is egregious is SAMHSA. So SAMHSA specifically doles out grants for research, but also enforcement when it comes to substance use. So think the 988 crisis line. Gutted. Lots of jobs have been cut from that program. And it's crazy to me that he calls these Democrat programs, because these are programs that benefit everyone. It doesn't matter if you are Republican or Democrat. You can benefit from these programs if you are affected by these things. These are a benefit to our country, and he calls them Democrat programs. I mean, that just tells me that Democrats are the ones who actually care about people and Republicans are the ones who care about billionaires.
Who are finally coming around to waking up and realizing exactly what MAGA is doing to them and exactly what Donald Trump is doing. We can look at it from all kinds of angles, and we can start by saying, boy, it sure took you a long time. You sure had to live through a whole lot for you to get here. But what did I say so many times here on the channel? I said, it'll have to bite them. When it starts biting them, then you will see them speak up and speak out, and we're starting to see that. At the time I sit down to do this video, the government is still shut down, and it doesn't look like there's an end in sight at the moment. Mike Johnson seems hell-bent on keeping everything closed, and they seem hell-bent on always finding a way to pass the blame and put it solely on the Democrats, and that's laughable because they're the ones in charge. But I wanted to show you a couple of clips here because Mike Johnson went on C-SPAN, and he took callers. And this is exactly Exhibit A as to why Republicans stopped having town hall meetings with their constituents, because they have to face the music. People are waking up. People are upset because it's affecting them. But look at Mike Johnson right here, man. He has no soul. This is one of the most soulless politicians. I really thought Mitch McConnell was soulless, But I almost feel like Mike Johnson might be about to dethrone him in that category. Take a look.
Republican line, Fort Belvoir, Virginia. Samantha, you're on with Speaker Johnson.
Hi, Mr. Johnson. So my question or comments are related to what you said yesterday about not being open to pass any legislation to ensure that military gets paid. I'm sure you can tell by my voice I'm very shaky. Just want you to hear a little bit about my family. I have two medically fragile children. I have a husband who actively serves his country. He suffers from PTSD from his 2 tours in Afghanistan. If we see a lapse in pay come the 15th, my children do not get to get the medication that's needed for them to live their life, because we live paycheck to paycheck. I heard you earlier say that you side with President Trump on anything that he says. Well, I just read an article this morning that said he absolutely wholeheartedly believes that there needs to be legislation put in so that we do not miss a paycheck. You have the power to do that. And as a Republican, I'm very disappointed in my party, and I'm very disappointed in you, because you do have the power to call the House back. You did that, or you refused to do that just for a show. I am begging you to pass this legislation. My kids could die. We don't have the credit because of the medical bills that I have to pay regularly. You could stop this, and you could be the one that could say military is getting paid. And I think that it is awful, and the audacity of someone who makes 6 figures a year to do this to military families is insane.
All right.
So the fact that he actually sat there and didn't interrupt her, I almost will give him just a little bit of credit, because I don't think Donald Trump could have sat there, and we know Pam Bondi couldn't have sat there that long and let someone say that. But the question becomes, how could you sit there and listen to one of your constituents, someone who is for you and been for you this entire time? How could you sit there and listen to them say that and hear the level of panic in their voice and just sit there and nod along? And then, what's he got? What does he have at the end of the day? The guy has accused us of everything. They blamed us with everything.
Elections have consequences. And you know what's crazy? The fact that the government is shut down and Democrats are being blamed for it. Now, mind you, the folks who hold the entirety of the government in literally the palms of their hands right now are the Republicans. They have the House, they have Senate, they have the presidency. And I'll go as far as to say they have the Supreme Court as well, because it's majority conservative at this point. No thanks to Donnie T, though, right? Not only that, but to be holding the government hostage at this point, because our representatives want to make sure that Americans have access to health care is crazy work. Not only that, but to deliberately close Congress and to not hold a vote for the sake of you putting on a show for Donnie T, also crazy work. And of course, the sad part about this is millions of Americans are going to be affected, of course, when it comes to health care, when it comes to paychecks, of course. And the fact that it's being discussed that federal employees will be furloughed as a result of this shutdown already after the indiscriminate firings of hundreds of thousands of other federal employees. On top of the economy being what it is, might I remind you all that the economy is what it is due to Donnie T's past economic legislation that got passed, not Biden's, contrary to what a lot of the MAGA refuses to believe. What I also find to be the most interesting now is that the red states that are going to be hit the hardest by this, and the industry such as the farming industry, now we are crying for help because we need those government subsidies. Aren't y'all the same people that said that people shouldn't get government handouts, all while not realizing that government subsidies are what keep the agricultural industry running as it is? This just goes to show that people do not care about issues until they are personally affected. And again, none of this would be taking place had y'all had listened to Kamala Harris when she told y'all. But again, we couldn't get past the racism and misogynoir, could we? But as I always say, elections have what? They have consequences. And I want to let y'all know that on November 4th, the states that have elections, please get out and vote. Please use this time to take all this energy to make sure that you all get out next year in the next election to vote as well, because election season never stops.
I just saw a post that was like, what are the chances that the government will not reopen? And baby girl, that is the fucking point. That is the fucking point. That is in Project 2025. They want the government to be completely shut down so that Donald Trump, after a certain amount of time, can invoke the Insurrection Act and could invoke martial law. There are, like, whispers that during the No Kings protest on the 18th, Donald Trump will be invoking the Insurrection Act of 1807. That's what they want. We just had Stephen Miller on CNN freeze like a deer in headlights when he said that they wanted, that Donald Trump had plenary authority. They want him to have plenary authority. They want him to have martial law in this country. They want the government to shut down because if the government can't do anything, if Congress can't do anything, he is unchecked. He was already basically unchecked because, like, he's doing whatever the fuck he wants anyway, but, like, this is another level of unchecked powers. Like, baby girl, that is the point. That is why we are on day 14 of this motherfucking shutdown. It is in Project 2025. I beg you to fucking read. I beg you to fucking read. Have a good day.
Hey everyone, well I am here with Angie Craig, who is the ranking member, meaning the highest ranking Democrat of the Agriculture Committee, and she just shared some breaking news with the caucus. So ranking member Craig, what is going on?
Well, it looks like the Trump administration has upped its taxpayer bailout of Argentina to $40 billion. At a time when economic assistance is needed to American family farmers. This is one of the most egregious acts of this administration.
And the corruption abounds. In fact, what you just told me was that the President of the United States is going to send $40 billion of American taxpayer dollars to Argentina to bail them out of their own manufactured economic crisis because their own leader, who is a lot like Trump, frankly, and his buddy, basically bankrupted the country of Argentina. But this is the thing that gets me. He's up for re-election right now, and Donald Trump basically said this aid package is...
Well, this is actually a bribe for Donald Trump to try to get the Argentinian people to re-elect this dictator. It's just the most corrupt, inappropriate use of presidential power, and at the expense of American taxpayers and family farmers in this country. As I said, it's one of the most egregious acts of this administration.
So basically, Trump is conditioning this aid, which is your taxpayer dollars, on this crazy guy winning re-election. So it's a bribe to the Argentinian people. But in addition to that, we're here fighting to save your healthcare, to keep WIC funded, and to make sure that people can put food on the table. And you also shared with us another shocking revelation, which is that the Trump administration is telling states to not distribute SNAP money, which is food benefits, to folks who qualify next month. Tell us more about that.
Well, the SNAP benefits will go out in October. That is already in the pipeline, but USDA has issued a memo to states instructing them that if the government is shut down after November 1st, not to distribute SNAP at a time when grocery prices are sky high and people are already having to choose whether to pay the rent or feed their families. Again, it is a direct attack on working families in our country.
And in my personal opinion, it's immoral. I mean, the fact that the president would give $40 billion in taxpayer-funded bailouts to essentially an autocrat in another country and then allow families to starve is immoral. It's wrong.
Look, and I don't know how the hell this constitutes America first. So I would say to family farmers, we understand your pain. We're fighting for you. Working families, we understand your pain. We're fighting for you, and I'm going to fight with all of my might against the bailout of a foreign country while Americans are having to forego their groceries.
And you better bet that we're going to conduct oversight and fight back.
All right, everyone. So unfortunately, and as predicted, because I am the unofficial oracle of Capitol Hill, the defense appropriations bill did fail the Senate. So that did not pass, unfortunately. And now the Senate is heading home for the weekend and is not expected to be back to vote until Tuesday the 21st. So from all accounts here on Capitol Hill, this is expected to go on for quite some time, perhaps even into January. So we will keep working behind the scenes here. I have an individual who is an attorney who may be joining me tomorrow as a hostage negotiator to try to see if we can push on some Democrats to change their votes, at least on this continuing resolution to fund the government until November 21st. So I'm still holding out hope. I hope all of you are too. But as of right now, senators are jumping on planes and they are heading out of town until Tuesday.
So we're in the middle of a government shutdown. The right question to ask is, so what, actually? What's actually changed? Is your life that much different today than it was a week ago? The sun still rises in the east and sets in the west. And in some ways, what this government shutdown has done is revealed the farce of what so much of the modern overgrown government actually does, which is nothing of use while still spending your taxpayer money. So the idea that a government shutdown when a bunch of bureaucrats in Washington, D.C. don't go into their offices for a few weeks, and which means we spend less money as a country too, is somehow a disaster scenario, is actually a farce.
As if $20 billion to Argentina while the United States government is completely shut down isn't bad enough, how about we up it to $40 billion? Yep, I just said $40 billion because that's exactly what they're doing today. They're trying to find a way to double the bailout to Trump's friend down there in Argentina before the elections that are happening down there. And this is after China swooped in and bought all their soybeans from Argentina, therefore further screwing over, because of Trump's tariffs, the American farmer. It's October 15th. The United States government has been shut down since October 1st. American federal government workers' paychecks are now questionable in terms of like who's going to get it, who's not going to get it. Because according to him, some people deserve back pay and some people don't. We're seeing TSA not show up. We're seeing airports that are having to juggle ridiculous schedules. We have military members, both domestic and internationally, that don't know if they're going to get paid. But we can come together to find out how to send $40 billion to a different country. Yeah. Everybody who's voting to send more American money to a different country while we're currently shut down, well, instead of the UFC on the front yard of the White House, I think we should just have stockades so we can all just run by and purchase some tomatoes, the ones that are rotting in the fields because we don't have anybody to grab them. But yeah, that could be fun.
Welcome back. Welcome back. So it is not only the government shutdown palaver. It is now still welfare dependees, food stamp dependees, and every single person that do not want to do something for themselves, especially the white folks. Because do not get me wrong, I'll keep saying it. I'm not saying that the black folks are not on food stamps, EBT, and so on and so forth. They are. But I can guarantee you that out of 100, 70% of black people can take care of their needs, literally, no matter how small it is, compared to these white folks. And that is why this shutdown is hitting them more than every single person. Now, finding out this reality of starting from November, if the government shutdown did not go off, they are going to literally suffer for food stamps, EBT, and so on and so forth, is what I love so much for them. They need to understand that the person they actually put on that seat do not have their heart at hand. I did a video earlier today where, I don't know if you guys have seen it, but if you've seen the news update, let me know in the comment section, where this man literally is giving Argentina 20 to even 40 billion. Billions. Because Argentina economy is crashing, leaving his own people behind as if his own economy is stable, as if his own economy is the best, as if his own economy is absolutely doing well. He never considered them. He never looked into what he's supposed to look into. It is sad, and it is that bad. And I hope a lot of these their magas should wake up on time before it is too late. Because when you go to this lady's comment section talking about the EBC thing, a lot of black people were not even really bothered. They're not really bothered. Because right from time, they've been trying their possible best to stand. Now the government's shutdown is just over 2 weeks. Now what if it gets to 1 month? What if it gets to 3 months? What if it gets to 1 year? What do we do? What will they do? How will they survive it? How will they survive it? It is one of the most critical questions I have been asking myself. I feel so bad for the little black people that is actually affected by this. But if you're watching this video as a black folks, I want you to know that try every single possible best that you are doing to ensure that you are putting a lot of things in place. Try your possible best to be pulling out what you need to pull out. If you're creating content, try your possible best to invest more in your creativity. So that at the end of the day, when things like this happen, you will have something to run to. So that at the end of the day, when things like this happen, you will have a support system to rely on. So that at the end of the day, when things like this happen, when they are crying, knocking their feet, and so on and so forth, you will be out there rejoicing and dancing in the Lord. And that is every single thing I wish for my black folks. But let me know what you think about this video. Credit belongs to the original creators of every single clips and stitches we have in our today's episode. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe, like this, drop me a comment. And lastly, do not forget to share for every other person to get this good news. And guys, with no further ado, I thought I'd like to say in my videos, I'm going to be saying bye and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye for now. Credit belongs to the original creators. Always know that. Bye guys. I love you guys. Mwah.